Oh, thank you so much. You are so excited to learn about TV. Welcome to Build Week and Watch, the show where the people who normally use this stage to interview actually interesting people use it to desperately try and prove to you that they are interesting too, because we know about TV and stuff. I'm Ricky Camilleri, and I'm joined by HuffPost senior reporter Leigh Blickley and my colleague Matt Forte, and we're gonna break down everything coming to TV, theaters, and Google Glass. All right. First up, Incredibles 2. It has been 14 years since The Incredibles came out, and today, the long-awaited sequel hits theaters. This time, the future is female, with Elastigirl as the hero saving the day, while Mr. Incredible is home with the kids. But does it matter what the movie's about? It's Pixar. You're gonna see it, laugh, cry, and love it. Let's take a look at the trailer.
Bye, sweetie.
I'll watch the kids, no problem.
The way you're supposed to do it, Dad. They want us to do it this way.
I don't know that way. Why would they change math? Math is math.
Okay,
math
Dad.
is math. Hello?
Hey, honey. How are the kids?
Everything's great.
Is she having adolescence?
And Jack?
He's in excellent health.
Whoa, what the?
Num num cookie.
Oh my God.
Cookie.
Wow, gay. That is freaky.
Full confession, I've never seen the first Incredibles. I have not seen this Incredibles. I don't deserve this job. Somebody else should sit here. I know, I'm sorry, I have it anyway. I'm better than you. Go ahead, Leigh. You
haven't seen the first Incredibles.
I have not.
I'm hoping everyone in this audience has seen the first
Right?
Incredibles.
You have eyes, so you've seen the film.
How old was I when the first Incredibles came out?
Yeah, the first Incredibles came out when we were probably in college, right? Or when
I was
in college.
16, if it was 14 years ago.
Right, and when I was in college, I was way too pretentious and cool for animated movies. I'm
Like,
not
hey guys, let's go see The Incredibles.
Yeah, I'm not bragging. I was a jerk. If someone was like, let's go see The Incredibles, I was like, no, I'm going to sit in my dorm room and watch Fassbinder films, you know? So I'm sure if I saw it now, I would appreciate it. But you've seen it. How does it hold up to the first Incredibles?
Incredibles 2 is incredible. Not quite as incredible as the first one, though.
Took her a week to come up with that.
Yeah, I think parents are really gonna love it because there's so much humor in there. I was in the screening and I heard parents like cracking up at some of the jokes that Mr. and Mrs. Incredible were saying, which is nice. But I find that kids movies are trying to do that more, kind of give parents something to laugh about, and sometimes that can come back to bite them, but it doesn't for them.
Well, probably especially with this, though, where most of the people who loved the movie when it first came out are parents now. So the humor kind of has to be updated for the original fans.
That's
Matt?
also something Pixar's always really been good at, though, of striking that balance and giving you a film that your kids enjoy, but you can latch onto as well. I was not as pretentious. I was the person you were imitating when I was in college, saying, let's go to The Incredibles. And I went to art school. I went for animation, so I'm a Pixar guy through and through. I will say, obviously, I'm getting the ticket. I'm there. But if you can answer a question for me, I'm a little concerned about, like, Force Awakens syndrome, where we get a plot that we've kind of seen before. You've seen the first one, you're a fan. Do they do enough with it? Is it new enough? Is it exciting enough to maintain the title, the mantle of Incredible?
I think it is exciting enough. I mean, I get that we're seeing like that plot where like the woman takes over and it's more like, Mr. Incredible stays home and his wife goes off to, beat the bad guys. I actually appreciated it and I thought it was good. I thought the humor also lent really well to it because when he's home, like being Mr. Dad, that's all very fun too. And there's good moments with like Jack and the kids are always a blast. I really liked it. I think people will like it. And as we've seen from the box office, it's already like #1 on Thursday night.
How does it hold up to other Pixar movies, though?
I don't know, Pixar.
Hereditary upstairs. Sorry.
I was like, Hereditary is great. Let's talk about that in the midst of... I think it holds up. I mean, it might not be my favorite Pixar movie.
What one? Who holds that prize?
Oh, I don't know. Why? What's yours?
I
I like Inside Out. That's Pixar.
Inside Out's beautiful.
I like Inside Out a lot.
I go back to Ratatouille a lot. Another Brad Bird.
Ratatouille's pretty great.
Yeah.
Another movie that I saw years and years and years after its release, because when it came out, I was just like, nah. Sorry, I'm gonna watch Requiem for a Dream again because I was a jerk.
But then you saw Ratatouille and you're like,
And
why did I see this?
It's like I wish I hadn't have watched Requiem for a Dream when I was at that age. I wish I had been watching Ratatouille. I'd be a much more normal, functional person. All right, next we have Tag, a new comedy that follows a group of 5 friends that have played the same game of tag for 23 years and are hell-bent on getting the one friend that's never been it. It's so weird. My friends and I have the same thing, but it's with the choking game and Tide Pods. If you ask me, it's much healthier and sane than a bunch of weirdo adults playing tag. Roll the trailer.
Every year we play tag. Well, you got me. You never know when someone's gonna pop up.
Congratulations, buddy. You're in.
Doing great, Anna. Our buddy Jerry, he's the best that ever played. And now he wants to retire.
Never been tagged. Just saying. So who's it?
Can't touch this.
This year we get Jerry.
Can't touch this.
Synchronize your watches.
I don't know how to do that.
I don't wear a watch. Time is a construct.
Can't touch this.
I've seen Tag. It's funny.
That's all we get, guys. I've seen that trailer. That was good.
I've seen several trailers, but I was reading an article too. I think it was Bustle. That was an article about the Wall Street Journal article about the guys this is based on, because that always gets me when it's like based on a true story, and it's
It's
like
a very cool true story.
It is.
And I will say about the movie, spoiler alert, the credits actually have some really wonderful footage of the actual guys playing tag over the years. And you can see there are moments in the movie that are stolen directly from things that these guys did, which you wouldn't have expected. I mean, they would literally one month out of the year travel to wherever one of their friends were and try to trick them and tag them. So they would wear ridiculous costumes to sort of surprise them, and those costumes end up in the movie, and it's really great. It's kind of the best part of the movie, which is unfortunate. You finish this movie and you're like, okay, that was a thing, and then this footage comes up and you're like, oh, I would love to watch the footage of these guys for 2 hours.
Yeah.
This is really funny and sincere and feels very real.
Well, that was just it. Reading the article, it was like, wow, this actually sounds like a really sweet thing. That it's a ridiculous premise, but these guys have kept touch for over the years because of this crazy game. They would fly these great distances. They would go to these great lengths because of this game. Whereas for a lot of other people, it's like, I have family members I only see at weddings and funerals. It's like, we don't keep touch. But these guys had a game of tag, and they all kept touch. And I was like, oh, I wonder if that's in the movie, that like heart, that sincerity.
They should have just made a documentary then. This sounds lovely. I would watch that. Yeah.
It's strange. The movie, as much as I had my issues with it, when it was over, I did have that feeling in my heart of like, I should call some friends and say hi and like make a moment with us. Maybe we could come up with a game of tag or keep playing Tide Pods with each other. I don't know, but I didn't end up doing it because I have very few friends.
What would Ricky?
I hate them. No.
What would pretentious non-Pixar movie-going Ricky say if his friend called him up and was like, "Hey, I want to start a lifelong game of tag with you"?
I would say that was pretty cool. But I don't think any of my pretentious friends at the time would have done that. They would have called me up and said, "Yo, do you want to get stoned and go watch RoboCop again?" And I would say, "Cool, let's do that."
That's not a bad plan
Requiem
either.
or Ratatouille.
No one gets stoned and watch Requiem. That's like
That's scary.
yeah,
stuff.
that's really scary.
But wait, I want to know, because there's all, there was that whole thing about Jeremy Renner's arms being CGI'd in the movie. How does that work if
see it
he's
at all.
playing tag?
I mean,
Like, how did
apparently they CGI the whole thing, and you never see it. But I will say the stunt where he apparently broke his wrist and elbow is in the movie. The shot of him doing it is in the movie. It's a real stunt that when he does it in the movie is pretty shocking. And he apparently was on the second day of shooting that it happened. He climbs up to a stack of chairs that are like 12 or 15 feet high and is standing on them and kind of pushes them down and kind of goes down with them and then jumps on the floor. And it's really him doing it. And it's a pretty impressive stunt, even when you find out that he didn't really pull it off. And he got hurt.
He's been in the Avengers movies, but he gets hurt on tag.
Right?
It goes to show you just how CG the Avengers movies are.
Fair enough. Yeah.
2 years ago, we saw John Travolta portray O.J.'s defense attorney, Robert Shapiro, in Ryan Murphy's The People vs. O.J. Simpson. Apparently, he loved that hilarious makeup job so much, he went out and found another real-life person to base some more ridiculous face paint on. And he found E! from Entourage to direct him. Let's look at Gotti.
This life of ours is a wonderful life, if you can get away with it.
Johnson has been an informant for the FBI.
It's a grand lie! As a father, the idea of you being in prison made me sick. Never back off, ever.
has a 0. This has a 0 on Rotten Tomatoes. I don't think I've seen 0 before. Nope. Have we had 0?
Yeah, there's been 0
There's been
before.
zeros?
Probably like Cabin Fever 2 or something. I don't know.
But I'm talking, yeah, you know what? Fair enough. That would do it. I will say this.
And I bet there's like some other Travolta movies in the last 10 years that are close to 0 somewhere.
He hasn't had a good stretch.
As a 0, I, for one, cannot wait to see this movie.
Really?
It looks ridiculously bad.
I love a good bad movie, a how did this get made bad movie, but I don't love, this feels like it's bad solely because it's only treading in well-worn cliche water, which, especially the gangster water, is so macho. It's so unfunny and unfun since it's been done so much that, like, that's not a bad world that I would get excited about watching. Like, I can't believe they were this bad, because it's not going to be. We're going to have seen it before in so many straight-to-video movies, and
here's my rebuttal.
History Channel's documentary about gangsters.
100%. I'm with you. Here's my rebuttal. John Travolta in that makeup. I mean, come on.
Well, that's why I started watching it, and I started watching it.
Started watching
you
it.
started?
But didn't finish.
Clearly, we didn't pre-interview you about this.
I mean,
started watching the movie.
I
You had
did.
a screener?
I had the screener, and I.
So what was
you know,
it like?
I gave it a shot.
Worthy of a 0?
Yes.
It achieves 0.
I mean, the first few minutes you're like, wow, that makeup is it's interesting. And then I just, I'm not really, do I look like the mob kind of movie girl to begin with? So, yeah, after a few minutes, I was like, this isn't
I bet you're not a mob movie girl, but I bet you like Goodfellas and The Godfather.
Yeah, Godfather, and yeah, of course.
But that's what I mean. Like, since those movies, there have been so many mostly bad mob movies. I would venture to say, and people would get mad at me for saying this, I think even Donnie Brasco isn't that great. Yeah. And it's mostly cliches that we had already seen up until that point. Granted, some pretty good performances, but not amazing.
No. But then this, you hear Entourage, you hear that Kelly Preston.
What does that do for you?
You hear that Kelly Preston is playing his wife. You're like, this is interesting. I kind of want to check out what they did with this. No, you shouldn't check it out.
Can I ask you a question? Every still frame I've seen from this film, he's making that exact face. Does he move at all throughout the entirety of the film?
The makeup.
The makeup.
It's just he can't change his face anymore.
His face can't really move much anymore. Didn't this have like a very small, Cannes premiere with like maybe 300 people in a theater?
Yeah, it was like I think it had been on a shelf for about a year or two before they actually had like a Cannes premiere. What do you think John Travolta goes into the makeup chair and everyone's like, I don't know, John, it's a little big. He's like, nope, it's great. I will walk if I don't get the eyebrows.
Ever since Hairspray, he's been really into.
Oh my God, that moment in Hairspray when he comes out of the curtain, he's dead.
That's what he needs to do,
I love
though.
that movie.
Me too.
That moment always just.
Hairspray 2. Let's do it, John. That could be your comeback.
Favorite Travolta movie?
Oh man.
Grease.
Okay.
I mean.
You got to be a little quicker with this.
I know. I'm sorry. I got a lot of favorite Travolta movies.
Saturday Night Fever.
Saturday Night Fever, Grease.
But it's a hard battle between Saturday Night Fever and Face Off.
Yeah, Face Off.
Face Off's great.
That's where I was torn. Face Off.
Face Off opens with a battle between a helicopter and an airplane. Action movies don't get better than that.
They really don't.
Yeah. All right. In the age of reboots, it was only a matter of time until someone remade the $50,000 1970s blaxploitation film Superfly. And by that, I mean Hollywood is really running out of ideas. Whereas the original took place in New York and had a soundtrack by Curtis Mayfield, this Superfly is in Atlanta and features the musical stylings of Future. Check it out.
You know, there's a difference between getting out and being pushed out.
This new crew, they have cartel connections. And they're coming after everything we have and everyone we love.
What's the play here?
One last score is so big that we will never have to look over our shoulder again. But we have to go to the source.
If we do this, there's no going back.
Never was.
So this movie is directed by a pretty famous music video director. His name is Director X. He's made some incredible music videos over the years, and there is definitely a music video look to this. There's a lot of sort of ideas that feel I wouldn't necessarily say taken from Belly, but some visual flourishes that are from the movie Belly that are very, very bright neons and some cool things that are in the movie simply just because they look cool, which can be really fun. And Future's music is great, and it's and I love the idea of setting a movie like this in Atlanta. You know, so much stuff shoots in Atlanta and in Georgia right now, but so little of it is actually representative of the huge hip-hop community and the trap house community that's come out of there. And this film, while not necessarily representative of that because it's trying to create its own gangster world and not be too bogged down in the real world, at least that's what Director X said when I talked to him, it still is kind of cool for once to see a part of Atlanta that we don't get to see, even though everything seems to be shooting there right now. Yeah. Do either of you have excitement to see this, or should I just move on?
I haven't seen it. But I'm kind of with Matt. I'm like, why not just watch the original?
Well, that's just it. I love everything. I haven't seen it yet. I am excited about all of the ideas of this on paper. The way you talk about it, you get me excited about it. But as I watched the trailer, the rabbit hole I ended up going down was just watching the trailer for the original and clips from the original and listening to Curtis Mayfield. And it's just like, that's where I ended up going instead of being like, oh, I got to run out and buy a ticket and watch this new version of this. It just made me want to go back and watch all of that amazing original content.
And as good as the Future soundtrack is for this, it is nowhere near as good or is going to be as iconic as the Curtis Mayfield soundtrack was on the original. I mean, those songs are just unbelievable.
Second only to like the Isaac Hayes on Shaft, right? Like that's it. The soundtracks are very much a part of those films. But Future's great, so like let me hear what Future's got, right? Like I want to hear it.
We're in the future, you know? Future.
I will say he is very easy, like everybody in the movie is very easy on the eyes, and he looks really cool throughout the whole movie.
Which is a big part of it.
The style is cool, like the costume design looks cool.
And the two women that he is engaged in a sexual relationship with in the movie are also very pretty, and there is an orgy sequence out of nowhere in the movie. So if that's your thing, that's there too. Yeah. Just so you know.
That's the draw, guys.
Yeah, there it is. There is one orgy scene, guys. Get out there. Go see Superfly. All right, up next, and this is where the show is going to get real deep in the weeds and really loud, and we're going to yell at each other. This Monday, Tiffany Haddish will be hosting MTV's annual Movie and TV Awards. It's a show where the biggest stars in entertainment come together to get awards from what's supposed to be a music channel or a reality TV channel or a game show, whatever the hell MTV is now, and what the hell are the MTV Movie and TV Awards? Why do they exist? I don't even feel old for saying this anymore because I don't think young people watch MTV. So who is this for? Old people don't care about the movie and TV awards being presented by MTV. There's absolutely no stakes there. Nobody wants these things. And young people, do young people care about them? I don't know. You wanted to talk about this.
I sure did. Because who doesn't want to talk about this? Because again, exactly what you just said. Why?
Why are these? What are these? Yeah.
Things.
I'm very relieved to hear you guys say this because as I was doing the prep, I was like, I haven't watched these in years. That must be because I'm old now. And then I was like, well, nobody seems to be talking about this around here. And I arrived at the exact same place of like, well, wait a second, who's watching these? Like,
and it's on Monday night. Like, first of all, that's the Bachelorette, people. So I'm already busy.
Dangerous.
I really don't give a shit to put it on Monday night. But I think it's always been on Monday night.
Oh, Sunday nights, right?
Sunday night. Growing up, I have memories of doing homework for Monday when the Sunday night was happening, and I was like, oh, I wish I was there. All those famous people get to go party, and I'm doing Spanish homework.
When I was in high school, I watched the MTV Movie Awards. I mean, I wanted to see Ryan Gosling and Rachel McAdams, and I wanted to see the Twilight Crew, and that's when MTV and the movie awards were like a thing.
But that's when they had an audience, and movies also had a bit of a bigger audience.
We were their audience, and now we're older. Like, I'm in my 30s.
All of their reality shows are essentially for people our age as well now. They're rebooting things like The Jersey Shore because they realize their only audience for linear television can be the people who were already there 10 years ago, because the people who are 15, 16, 17 years old now, as far as I know, don't really watch linear TV, according to all of the studies about millennials that I read on CNN.com.
We were into Laguna Beach and the Hills, and I watch Jersey Shore. I still watch it, but I only go to MTV to watch Jersey Shore because it reminds me of like my youth a little bit.
Wait, you guys are telling me that you're not excited to find out who wins Best Kiss
on
Monday night? Who gets a movie man popcorn thing?
Well, that's just, and they're doing so many crazy things that, like, again, on paper are kind of cool ideas. Like, none of the awards are gender specific anymore. So it's just like Best Actor, and all the men and women are piled in there. So there's a part of me that's like, oh, that's cool. We're going to see, like, if people want Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman as their Best Actor or Chadwick as Black Panther. Were those the best performances of the year? I don't know. Like, who's going to vote on those? But that's an interesting thing. You're not going to see that matchup anywhere else, I don't think. So there's that element. But again, I don't know who's going to watch the outcome.
Then they have Tiffany Haddish, who we all, like, she's had a big year. I was saying, you know, I don't know if I have Tiffany Haddish fatigue. She's just been everywhere lately. But you were saying backstage, like, this would have been a great move for her. But now she seems almost too famous to be even hosting the MTV Movie.
Well, yeah, you think about what comedians end up hosting the MTV Movie Awards, and it's the comedians who are like, it's a stepping stone from blowing up. They're just like about to blow up. Like, I named her. I said some people before, but then I wasn't sure if they had hosted this or the Video Music Awards because I don't know.
The difference, yeah.
And why is MTV hosting either of these things?
Like,
the channel doesn't do any of these things.
That's what's made it weirder over the years, is they've gotten farther and farther away from all of this stuff.
Right, like the channel used to be in 2001, 2000, and it's cliche at this point to say like MTV's not a music channel anymore. But when it comes to the Video Music Awards, they were a music video channel. So at the very least, when you watched the Video Music Awards, you had seen all of those videos via the channel that they have. When it came to Movie and TV Awards, they had all of these shows where they presented music videos, but in between them, they would bring movie stars out and interview them and have them promote them. Yeah. So that kind of made sense in terms of who their audience was. But now they're just a reality channel show for the most part. TRL didn't work. That's gone. So like they should kind of be the reality TV awards.
Yeah, like they should have given this up. I get that you want to keep the VMAs. It's like MTV tradition.
It's like best drunk makeout meltdown in the jacuzzi.
No, really, like
that's
best
what it should
fight
be.
Scene
yeah.
in Tag or something. Like it's so yeah.
I was going reality TV show awards, right? Like
oh, that's true.
They're like a weird stopgap between like the Nick Teen Choice Awards and Real Awards. But I don't know that audience that they're aiming for actually cares that these things are happening. That's the thing. But that could be because of mold.
At least the Nick Teen Choice Awards.
I think
right?
that's what they're called.
At least whatever the. At least those have a kind of upbeat positivity, and they're for children, and we know that children always need something to distract themselves with.
The Rock will show up.
Give that to them, and The Rock will show up, and all of these people who are famous for kids will show up. But with this, who is the audience? There's
because
not
like Nickelodeon. You always have kids filtering in, and they grow up, but then new kids come in and watch.
Who
Nick.
is filtering into
Who is
MTV?
filtering into MTV? I think MTV was made for our generation, and now we are no longer watching. And who is watching?
Thursday
we
nights
are
we're
watching. We don't
Thursday
care
night.
who they're going to award for best kiss or something like that. Does anyone here?
Over that.
Yeah, I was going to say, we have a relatively young audience. Is anybody
Awards?
tuning into these?
Raise your hand if you do. I won't make fun of you. I promise. I know I have the air of someone that will make fun of you, and I'm kind of mean-spirited, but I promise I won't. I just want to know. Does anyone here watch it? We got a nothing. See? This is going down the tubes. No one's going to watch this stuff. Ratings are going to
You're just going to read what happens the next day, right? You're going to go on the internet and see whatever meme pops out of it.
It's only going to be for, I guess you could say like any award show, it's only going to be for the host's monologue. That's all that we're going to care about. And maybe she'll do some funny parody bits.
I used to love those.
I used to love those too. I still remember the Ben Stiller, John Woo, Tom Mission Impossible 2 one where whatever. Moving on.
Given too much
went
time
down like
to
my brain hole, and it's like, oh, we have a show that we're doing. All right, in February, Netflix released Queer Eye, a reboot of the Emmy Award-winning series Queer Eye for the Straight Guy, and it was a huge hit. New episodes dropped today, and once again, I was not invited onto the show. But let's take a look at what the Fab Five are up to this season anyway.
What I show to people sometimes might not be the full me.
Men have body issues. We just don't talk about it as comfortably as we should.
She completes me in a way that nobody else ever has. She's the one.
This is about to be epic.
This man is now confident.
This has been a life-changing week for me.
People are going to know that they can thrive and succeed because of you.
Continue making this world a better place. Oh, come here, Anthony. Anthony. Oh, my baby. Things keep getting better.
Never seen the show. Sorry. There is still a part of me that is pretentious and can't watch certain things. No, I've heard it's great. Everyone I talk to says they cry. I don't know.
Have you seen the original Queer Eye for the Straight Guy?
No.
I
really didn't know
Carson
her.
Kressley and everybody.
I
Queer
did
Eye,
Carson, yeah.
the new Queer Eye is so good.
So good. Could not agree more.
one night was just like, okay, I'll try it.
I'm not crying, you're crying. Why do people cry so much on this show?
I cry.
I cry too, dude. It makes you.
Why?
Because it's not.
I get
not
people
just
cry.
About,
Why?
All right, because especially with this. First of all, snuck up on me. I had no idea. My wife got me into it. She was like, she watched a couple episodes. She was like, "I'm stopping. You're coming. We're watching."
My husband too. I got him into it.
Great job. This is how it's supposed to work. So like the show, it's not just about. A makeover for this guy or getting him to eat healthy or anything like that. The way in which they all connect as people and like really want to better themselves and transform. And then also this season, the guys in the cast are like becoming better people as well. There's that police drama moment when they get pulled over and the relationship that forms there. And then in the first episode of I love this show. In the first episode of the second season, which I started watching today, one of the guys is very hesitant to walk into a church because of his upbringing. And then like he makes this connection with real people and like presumably works through it. I haven't seen it to the end. My God, I hope he works through it because they set that up. But yeah, there's something about watching a reality show that doesn't feel like the typical reality show. You're watching genuine relationships form and connections happen and people really like making their lives better. I don't know. I just love it, man. I just love it.
It's not like the original where it was like, oh, he got a new hairdo and he's got an awesome new closet. Now they actually transform them like from the inside out. You see these men like go through. I mean, last season there was like a really conservative guy.
Yeah, to make America great again.
Yes.
Great again hat that they found, and they were like, "We're gonna talk about this at some point."
And then
did it work?
I mean, like, by the end of it,
they're not going to change.
As far as I know, it's pretty hard to. Someone's got a MAGA hat. It's pretty hard to turn them.
They're not going to change his politics, but the way they like open his mind
Yes.
to like understanding the other side maybe or what other people
they make
think.
way more progress than you would ever anticipate they could.
understand
with
him
somebody. Yeah,
and
exactly.
It makes you cry.
really good. It's really good.
All right, I believe you.
I don't know.
Try
You gotta watch it.
Okay, I'll try. I do like crying when I watch stuff. I
And
love to cry.
sometimes, like, think about how much is on TV now. Like, I'm into Westworld. It boggles my mind. I can't follow it sometimes. Sometimes I just want to watch, like, a feel-good show. Queer Eye is that show. Like, if you
Kimmy
just,
Schmidt for me.
Yeah, if you just want to lay in bed and, like, relax and feel good and not feel like, I'm so stressed, I don't know what's happening in the world.
Yeah.
I actually don't watch a lot of the hour-long dramas anymore unless I have to for this job because, I mean, I don't know. That's not what I want from TV so much. They're so serious. They're so plotting and they take so much time. And there's a part of me that's like, I would like you to be a TV show.
Yeah.
I would like you to entertain, even if you're going to be serious, I would like you to entertain me like a TV show kind of would or would used to do, you know?
Sit here for an hour and go, oh my God, I'm exhausted. I just watched TV and I'm tired.
Or sit there for an hour and go, oh, I guess they're going to get to the interesting stuff in the next episode. That was just kind of building it. And it's like,
season is over and you're like, why did I waste 10 hours of my life on this?
Yeah.
Anyway, so Showtime's The Affair has been keeping viewers at the edge of their seats since 2014 and probably doing something else in their seats as well. This Sunday, the dysfunctional relationship drama comes back for its 4th season with the main characters finding themselves in new beginnings that may lead to some tragic ends, and all of them most likely while naked. Let's take a look.
I just think that sometimes we tell ourselves a story about what kind of person we are and how people treat us, and it's not always true.
This town, it makes me feel unsafe.
I've had this recurring dream lately. What if somebody was trying to tell me to watch out?
You sometimes have a hard time distinguishing between what's real and what isn't.
Nobody would care if I leave tomorrow.
Stop that. You are my wife.
I asked you to do one thing.
They are my children, not his. You broke up 2 marriages, but that wasn't enough for you?
It's been 72 hours, no one's seen her. The police have declared her a missing person.
So I haven't seen much of this show since I think the 1st or the 2nd season. I will say one thing that I do kind of respect and appreciate about the show is it does not do which I was just talking about, which is that this show really does burn through plot and is in a lot of ways kind of an old school soap opera with a new twist, which I kind of appreciate. Once again, I appreciate watching a TV show that presents a lot of story and kind of throws everything at the wall and isn't trying to be uber realistic, which is totally unnecessary when you're a basic cable or a premium cable, drama. But you've been watching it.
I loved the first season of The Affair, and I've kept up with The Affair.
Also, the cast is so hot. Sorry.
So hot. They're all very, very good and talented, and I do love that you see different perspectives. Like the first season was so great because you saw the man's perspective and then the woman's perspective of the same thing going on. And then the second season they added in those 2 other voices. The third season had
They added
like,
Brendan Fraser.
Brendan Fraser, weird.
Did you get his voice too?
Yeah, I want that voice.
No, I don't think we got his voice.
Hard to trace that
I was
one.
like,
Hard
what
to
show
track.
am I watching? Like, it just didn't feel like The Affair. And now I've seen a few episodes of this fourth season, and it's kind of back to like just its original, like, these are the 4 characters we're going to focus on. This is about marriage and relationships and divorce. And
Still working, or does it feel like it's sort of well-worn territory for it and it's repeating itself?
It looped me in. I didn't think it would because I know what to expect. Like part 1, Noah. Part 2, Helen. Like, but now we have Noah and Helen like on the West Coast, and Allie and Cole are on the East Coast. So they're not all together anymore. So there's more going on with their families and their personal lives.
Do they address the weirdness of the Brendan Fraser weird
No, they
things?
kind of just like it acts like I don't even know what
doesn't
they were
Love
just
that.
erased
Yeah.
it.
That's what I respect.
They erased it.
That's such an old school TV thing of being like, we don't have to talk about that. It's a
Yeah.
it's a TV show. Who cares? People will watch it because there's sex and there's story and there's
Sex
attractive
on the
people.
show is good. It's
Yeah.
good too. Like if
Good show, sex.
yeah, I mean I think that's why my mom started watching it. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, that is true. My mom talks to me about the show all the time. I always forget. That's probably why she's talking to me about it. She's like, we watched The Affair, your dad and I. We love it. And I'm like, okay, that's
Why-
great.
it's
I never
for the
realized that it was
mom.
just like 2 people in their 60s, like kind of like holding hands, being like, uh-huh. Like,
Yeah, I mean that's what they want to watch on Sunday nights. But
oh,
hey, there's
bummer, man. I have to go back to therapy now. Thanks, Leigh.
sex, guys, sex.
Last but not least, we have my personal recommendation, and that's eating animals. And that's because I love burgers, I love chicken, I love a good New York strip steak, right? I love this stuff. Obviously, I'm kidding. I'm not a vegetarian. I'm almost a vegetarian, but this doc, based on Jonathan Safran Foer's book, explores factory farming and all of the negative effects that come with it.
The basics that I'm using today is passed from one generation to the next. It's a way of life rather than going to a factory producing protein units.
There's no way you can love an animal that has been genetically engineered to die in 6 weeks.
There's inherent cruelty in that system. I started documenting things I saw or things I heard about. It was time to pull the trigger.
It's against federal law to have cameras?
You can't shut down the individual's right to know about what this industry is doing. There's got to be a stop.
Nothing more. I love nothing more than having a really fun talk show and then ripping the fun right out of it with something serious. I just think this documentary is really important. There wasn't really anything else on the list of shows and movies this week that were necessarily so entertaining that they could surpass something that I feel like is a really important issue that doesn't get talked about enough. And it's not about whether or not you're a vegetarian. It's not about whether or not you're a vegan. It's just about the fact that you're thinking about how much meat you eat just a little bit more, because the industry is incredibly dangerous for the environment. It's incredibly inhumane, both to animals and to the farmers who are trying to make a living. I'm sure I sound preachy and pretentious, but when you get your lunch, when you get your dinner, just think a little bit harder about whether or not you need ham or steak or whatever it is for that meal, and maybe try something else, and then enjoy the documentary. It's made by some really talented people. I don't know if you guys want to jump in on this or you want to just move towards the end of the show.
Making me want to cry. Like I took a class on agriculture and all this in college, and ever since then I've been so aware of it. And this documentary, I'm so happy that somebody finally made. I think Natalie Portman is a producer on this.
Produces and narrates it, yeah.
Because it's just something that people should see, and it doesn't have to necessarily change your diet, but you should be aware of what you're eating and where it's coming from, and all this nasty stuff that's involved with it.
For sure. I think for me, a documentary like that is important. It's always a hard sell because I just know that I'm going to feel terrible coming out of it. But it looks... I mean, I'm the guy that went in and saw Super Size Me and was craving McDonald's after. I'm by no means a vegetarian, but I've been trying to be way more aware of that and way more cognizant of those decisions. And it looks like a really good documentary. It looks
That's all
really
this
good. It wasn't even on
documentary.
my
I watched the documentary this week, and I interviewed Safran Foer and Christopher Quinn, and that is all that they are kind of saying in the documentary. Saying the documentary is not like you must become a vegan now. Right. It is just trying to say, think about this industry a little bit more and just try to say no to it just a tad more. Like, I don't know if you're a vegetarian or a vegan, but you said you took a class in this, and I'm sure it's just something that you use to kind of think about your meal every now and then.
Like I don't really eat red meat that much anymore. I will have chicken, I have to admit, but then that's the stuff in the class that made me the most.
Oh yeah, the chicken industry
chicken
is
industry
real bad.
is whack.
Do you know that most of the chickens that you eat and eggs that you eat are, those chickens ate other chickens their entire life. They spent their life eating their other chickens in the farm.
To what end? Does that make them more chickeny? Like, why would they make them do that?
It's just the leftover meat. It's easier to feed them that kind of stuff.
Why the hell? I guess this is in the documentary.
It's in the documentary.
Because I watched a trailer, and he's like, this is the way we used to farm years ago, and this is the way I think we should farm, but this is what we're doing now, and it's terrible and all that. And it's just like, I don't understand the...
And the documentary, what's also great about it is if it has repercussions across all industries in this country and sort of how capitalism approaches the humanity of all industries, which I think is really important as well. I mean, factory farming and meat in this country, yes, it is one industry, but when you look at it, it's a microcosm or even a macrocosm for how human beings are treated right now within this economy and within capitalism. But let's move on to more fun stuff.
I'm being told we just got picked up by Purdue. We're sponsored now, so we have that. That's happening.
So after everything we covered, Incredibles 2, Tag, Gotti, Superfly, MTV Movie and TV Awards, whatever that is, Queer Eye, The Affair, and Eating Animals. You guys, what are your favorite 2 picks? Matt, what do you got?
I've got 2. Obviously, we're going to do Incredibles. Everybody's going to see this anyway, but like I said, I went to school for animation. I'm there. I'm in the seat. And Feel Good, Queer Eye. But I have a bonus that I want to bring up. We didn't even talk about. I'm not a sports guy, but it is World Cup time. And I am crazy. Yeah, okay, we can applaud for World Cup. I am a big fan of large communal events that wherever I am, I'm walking around, people are gathered around a television watching the same thing. I love that vibe. It doesn't happen often, and it makes this really
oddly, it doesn't happen with the MTV Movie and TV Awards.
No, I can't recall walking by several storefronts and watching people crowded around Best Kiss to see, like in a window front. But yeah, those are my picks. Incredibles, Queer Eye, and get some friends or go to a place with some friends or go make friends and watch some World Cup. It's going to be a great weekend.
Leigh?
Yeah.
Oh, Queer Eye's on there, of course. And I'm a little torn. This week didn't give me too many great selections. Incredibles 2, I would say you guys should go see. I also enjoyed the first episode of The Affair, which is on Sunday. If you like the show, I would say give it another shot. But Queer Eye is number 1. Queer Eye all the way.
Eating Animals, obviously, that's what I said. And maybe I'll start watching Queer Eye, because I haven't seen Incredibles 1 yet. That's too much work for me to go back and watch the first movie and then the second. It's just too much work.
13 hours of television is going to be way easier.
But I think Queer Eye would really enjoy it. But guys, before we wrap, we have an intern here, one of my favorite people. He goes by the name of Rendy Jones. He loves movies. He has his own website. It's called rendyreviews.com. Go there. You can see all the movies that he's seen. You can hear his opinion. And he has pleaded with me to come on to this show. Now, we're going to give him a brief minute, a very, very brief minute to tell everyone what he recommends this week. Everyone, please welcome Rendy Jones for Rendy's Recs. Rendy, keep it short.
All right, so since there are 3 major releases this week, the only thing that matters right now is The Incredibles 2. We've been waiting 14 years, and the Parr family is finally back. Pixar knocks it out of the park in terms of animation. The action is amazing.
So Incredibles 2. Rendy Jones, everybody. Keeping it short, keeping it real. My man right here. I love it. That about does it from us here at Build We Can Watch. We hope you learned a little something from us, like what you could watch on TV this weekend, or maybe go back to school, get a trade, because you watched all of this and you clearly have too much time on your hands. Huge thanks to my guests, Leigh Blickley and Matt Forte, and for Rendy Jones, who will return next week we will continue to expand Rendy's Recs upon every episode. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Take care. Have a good weekend.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everybody.